You believe that being good is enough, that if you are kind, honest, loyal, and forgiving, the world will reward you. You think your goodness is your shield, that people will see your heart, understand your intentions, and give you back the same in return. But this is the first and greatest lie you've been told. Goodness without power is not admired. It is ignored at best and exploited at worst. A man without power who claims to be virtuous is not seen as noble. He is seen as naive, weak, a stepping stone. In every room, in every relationship, in every social dynamic, power governs how you're treated. If you walk in with kindness but no leverage, no influence, no ability to impose consequences, your virtue becomes irrelevant. Your decency is seen as a convenience. People will take what you offer, drain your patience, and then leave you with nothing, not out of malice, but because it is human nature to follow strength and take advantage of weakness. If you're constantly giving, constantly yielding, constantly forgiving, the world begins to view you as someone who can be used, not respected. There is no glory in being good if it means you're powerless to defend yourself. And understand this, morality only matters when it comes from someone who can choose otherwise. The world admires the person who could destroy you, but doesn't. Not the person who couldn't harm you even if they wanted to. Your goodness means nothing if it's the only option you have. If you're good because you fear confrontation, because you fear judgment, or because you want to be liked, then your morality is not virtue. It's submission. Real virtue is when you possess the strength to be dangerous, but you discipline it. Real virtue is when your hand can strike, but you hold it back because you choose to not, because you have no other choice. This is the truth they don't teach you. They want you weak, agreeable, obedient. They want you to believe that the highest value is to be harmless, because the harmless can be controlled. The harmless can be overruled. But the man who has power and chooses not to abuse it, that man commands respect. That man moves through the world untouched, not because he is liked, but because others fear what he is capable of. Goodness, when backed by strength, becomes something sacred. Something untouchable, but goodness with no spine, that becomes a tool for others to use as they please. They'll admire your character publicly, then betray it privately. The truth is simple. If you want your values to matter in this world, you must become someone who cannot be ignored. You must gain power, not for domination, but for preservation. You must have leverage, not to manipulate, but to protect. Only then will your kindness be seen as noble. Only then will your forgiveness be a choice, not a necessity. People admire goodness with their words, but follow strength with their actions. They say they value kindness, honesty, and loyalty, but when the moment comes to choose between someone who is good and someone who is powerful, they will always align with the one who holds leverage. The truth is harsh. Being virtuous doesn't earn you loyalty. It earns you expectations. People begin to see your kindness as something they are entitled to. Your compassion becomes routine. Your forgiveness becomes an obligation. The more consistently you give without resistance, the more invisible your sacrifice becomes. What once seemed noble now becomes expected, and once it is expected, it is no longer respected. The world doesn't punish bad people the way you think it does. Often, the most manipulative, cunning, and selfish individuals rise the fastest. Why? Because they understand one truth you've been trained to ignore. People are drawn to power. They're drawn to confidence, decisiveness, and dominance, not because they are evil, but because these traits signal protection and certainty. You can be the most genuine, loving person in the room, but if someone else speaks louder, moves faster, or takes control, you will be overlooked. Not because you weren't good enough, but because your goodness lacked force, it lacked presence, and without presence, people don't follow, they consume. You've probably noticed it already. You give your time, you compromise, you put others first, and yet, somehow, they still choose the person who barely tries. They still respond to the one who plays games, withholds affection, or puts their own needs first. It's not because people love cruelty, it's because they respond to contrast. They feel tension when they can't predict someone. They feel pulled toward the one they can't control. But you're always there, always available, always giving. You become dependable to the point of being forgettable. When you're too good, people start to assume you have no other mode. They assume you won't walk away, that you won't fight back, that you won't demand better, and because they believe that, they treat you accordingly. The more they realize you won't retaliate, the more comfortable they become in disrespecting you. You may think they don't notice your sacrifices, but they do. They just don't value them because you never made them pay for it. You never showed them a version of you that says, "This is my limit." You never showed them that your kindness has edges. It is not goodness that commands loyalty. It is consequence. When people know that crossing you comes with a cost, they begin to weigh their actions. When they sense that you are capable of walking away, of enforcing boundaries, of holding them accountable, your kindness becomes something they want to earn, not something they feel entitled to. You cannot make people value your virtues by giving more of them. You make people value your virtues by showing that they are a choice, not a weakness. Power has been demonized by those who do not possess it. From childhood, you're taught that power corrupts, that seeking it is selfish, that wanting it makes you dangerous. But what they don't tell you is that lacking power makes you even more vulnerable. When you have no power, you have no control over your environment, no defense against manipulation, no say in how you're treated. You become a spectator in your own life, waiting on others to give you permission to act, to speak, to exist on your terms. Power isn't evil, it's necessary. It's the difference between being a victim and being a force. Those who pretend to reject power often do so because they're too afraid to claim it. It's easier to call it immoral than to admit you don't know how to wield it. But power in itself is not cruelty. It's simply the ability to shape outcomes, to take action without waiting for approval, to influence rather than obey. It's the ability to protect your values, defend your boundaries, and command respect. Without it, you will compromise your integrity to survive. You'll say yes when you want to say no. You'll tolerate disrespect because confronting it feels too dangerous. And over time, your goodness will become hollow, a performance to avoid conflict, not a reflection of your true will. Power does not mean aggression. It does not mean domination for its own sake. It means options. It means freedom. The man who has power doesn't need to raise his voice because his presence is already known. He doesn't beg because he can walk away. He doesn't fear rejection because he has created enough value within himself that he is never desperate. And that is where true morality begins, not in submission, but in strength. Only the strong can choose to be merciful. Only the powerful can choose restraint. Without that strength, every kind act is suspect. Every generous move is potentially motivated by fear or weakness. The world respects those who can act without fear. Those who are self-possessed, deliberate, and unapologetic in their pursuit of what matters to them. You will never be respected for being a martyr. You will never be admired for constantly sacrificing your well-being to keep others comfortable. Power is not about controlling others. It's about mastering yourself. It's about never needing to betray who you are just to feel safe. It's about being unshakable in the face of pressure, temptation, and manipulation. If you want to be a force in this world, you must unlearn everything you were told about power being evil. The real danger lies in remaining powerless, in being easy to silence, easy to guilt, easy to bend. In a world that feeds on advantage, not having power doesn't make you morally superior. It makes you a target. You must learn to desire power not for cruelty, but for control. Not to harm others, but to protect yourself. Not to dominate, but to choose your own path and walk it without asking for permission. Most people expose themselves far too easily. They speak their plans out loud, hoping for validation. They wear their emotions on their sleeves, expecting understanding. They move through life under the illusion that transparency is always a virtue, that if you just show the world your true self, it will respond with kindness. But the truth is that exposure invites interference. The more others know about your desires, your limits, your fears, the more control they have over you. The most dangerous thing you can do is let people see the full blueprint of your intentions before it's time. Power is quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not need to prove anything. When you are truly powerful, you learn to value silence more than recognition. You learn to speak less, listen more, and only reveal what benefits you. Not everything needs to be said. Not every emotion needs to be expressed. Not every strategy needs to be shared. When you speak carelessly, you give away leverage. When you show too much, you remove mystery. And once mystery is gone, so is influence. People trust what they can predict, but they follow what they can't fully understand. When others can't quite figure you out, they tread more carefully. They begin to project strength onto you simply because you don't hand them easy definitions of who you are. The more controlled your image, the more powerful you seem. Control perception. Appear kind, but not weak. Appear calm, but not passive. Appear generous, but never desperate. Let them wonder how far you're willing to go. Let them question what you're capable of. That uncertainty will protect you more than any defense you could build with words. Revealing your true intentions, especially too early, invites sabotage. People will smile at your dreams and quietly plot against them. They will pretend to support you and then undercut you the moment it serves their interest. Not because they're inherently evil, but because your success makes them confront their own failures. Your ambition threatens their comfort. And if you've already laid out your path in front of them, it becomes that much easier for them to block it. Your plans should be like a knife hidden beneath a cloak. Quiet, concealed, and ready when needed. What you allow people to see should always be just enough to keep them curious, but never enough to let them get ahead of you. Speak only when the outcome is already secure. Reveal only when the result is irreversible. Until then, let them underestimate you. Let them assume you are simple, harmless, easy to read. When the time comes, their illusion will work in your favor. Your emotions are another battlefield. If others can trigger a reaction in you, they control you. If they know what angers you, they'll provoke it. If they see what softens you, they'll exploit it. But if you train yourself to remain composed, to smile when you feel fury, to pause when you want to scream, you become untouchable in ways they can't understand. There will always be a line that divides those who survive and those who rule. On one side are those who hope to be spared through kindness, those who believe if they do enough good, they will be protected. On the other side are those who understand that kindness is only respected when it is a choice, not a condition. If you are not capable of ruthlessness when it is required, you will be at the mercy of those who are. The world does not care how gentle your heart is when it senses that you have no bite. You may hold to mercy, patience, and forgiveness as your guiding values, but unless you are feared when necessary, you will be ruled by those who are. People respect boundaries only when they know there are consequences behind them. If your line in the sand can be crossed without punishment, it is not a boundary. It is a suggestion, and suggestions are ignored by those who hunger for control. The reality is simple. Power is not measured by how nice you are. It is measured by how far others believe you are willing to go when pushed. If they sense that you are incapable of retaliation, they will test your limits without hesitation. They will lie, manipulate, betray, and then apologize, knowing full well you will accept it, not out of respect, but out of calculation. Mercy must be a weapon, not a default. It must be something you offer when you are in complete control, not something you extend because you fear confrontation. The man who forgives too easily is not noble. He is predictable, and the predictable can be conquered. You must be willing to be the storm when the skies turn. You must know when to become fire so that your peace cannot be taken for granted. Because when people know that you will never retaliate, never assert, never protect what is yours with force, they will walk over you with clean boots. The strongest men are not those who avoid conflict, but those who can dominate it when needed and then return to stillness. It is not violence that defines strength, but the ability to choose its use with precision. Ruthlessness does not mean cruelty, it means clarity. Clarity about who you are, what you will accept, and what you will destroy if someone threatens your peace, your purpose, or your power. That clarity scares people more than aggression ever will, because a man who is capable of destruction, yet chooses restraint, carries the weight of discipline that others can feel without a word spoken. You must become the one who is respected not just for your heart, but for your edge. The one who can stand still in chaos without folding. The one who others think twice before crossing. Not because you are feared for your brutality, but because you are known for your precision. Because when you act, you do not flinch, you do not hesitate, you do not negotiate with disrespect. You erase it. The world does not reward those who are merely good. It bows to those who are powerful and good. Kindness without strength is seen as weakness. Morality without boundaries is exploited, and virtue without power is discarded. If you want your values to survive in a world driven by dominance, deception, and desire, you must become more than just noble. You must become disciplined, calculated, feared when necessary. Your silence must carry weight. Your presence must command attention. Let them feel your strength before they ever see your smile. Because only when your goodness is backed by force, when your mercy is a deliberate choice, not a survival tactic, will the world finally respect what you stand for. Be kind, but never soft. Be moral, but never weak. Be peaceful, but always dangerous. That is the art of power. That is how good men rise and stay unbroken.